Sqilah, Enhancing Careers. Chapter 3, Airport Apron Management. The airport apron is part of an airport where aircrafts are parked, loaded/unloaded, refueled, boarded, and serviced. Despite the fact that use of apron is covered by regulations, it is typically more accessible to users than the runway or taxiway. Apron is not usually open to the general public, and a license may be required to gain access. The apron is designated by the ICAO as not being part of the maneuvering area. Apron management consists of the following activities: allocation of aircraft stands, control of aircraft and vehicles operating on the apron, monitoring safety of operations. Allocation of aircraft stands. Aircraft stands are assigned on a non-discriminatory basis, i.e., for similar types and volumes of operations, all carriers will have equal rights of access to aircraft stands. The principle of non-discrimination does not preclude the application of stand assignment practices that will promote efficiency in operations and optimize passenger levels of service. Stand planning is an airport process concerned with the establishment of a so-called stand allocation plan. This stand allocation plan describes how aircraft are assigned to their stands for a given time period for that airport, which is the responsibility of the airport operator. A stand allocation plan includes in-block and off-block time estimates and is established for a particular day of operation. It is the airport's responsibility to assign aircraft to a particular stand and also establish a seasonal stand allocation plan, allocating the expected flights for a given day at the airport to its available stands. An initial stand plan is developed based on the airline's preferences and the airport stand availability. While developing the stand allocation plan, constraints and preferences of airlines and airport operator are taken into account, such as infrastructural constraints, operational practices, the airport's declared capacity, flight expected schedules, airline stand planning preferences, ground handler capabilities, published ITA schedules, etc. This seasonal stand allocation plan is considered as a master plan for a tactical stand allocation plan for that particular season. The stand planner of the airport refines and adapts the seasonal stand allocation plan. On the day before operations, the stand planner includes the latest information on ATM scenarios, events, change proposals of airlines, and weather forecasts. The result of this process of refinement is a final pre-tactical stand allocation plan that describes, for the day of operations, exactly when each flight should go in and off-block at which stand at the airport. 2 hours before operation, this pre-tactical plan is published as the Tactical Stand Allocation Plan. Large airlines are foreseen to provide their partial stand allocation plan for a preferred area. This preferred area is assigned to the airline by the airport operator based on the market, its market share, and preferences. Within this area, airlines can develop their own stand allocation plan. The airport operator will then incorporate the airline's specific seasonal stand allocation plans into one overall season planning for the airport. The effects on stand allocation, handling crew disposition, rerouting baggage and passengers within the terminal, as well as the influence on the next corresponding outbound flight are determined. If possible and desirable, another flight/aircraft can be directed to the not-used stand to ensure an optimal utilization of the parking positions and the ground handling resources. The minimum reaction time for stand allocation changes is around 30 minutes, based on the necessity of rerouting passenger and baggage flows within the terminal. For repositioning ground handling crew, a minimum reaction time of 15 minutes is applicable. Most taxi-in times are less than 10 minutes. Therefore, irregularities during the inbound ground movement phase do not result in stand changes and handling crew dispositions. Ground handlers do not have much room to do their own resource planning. Ground handling should take place within the turnaround time, meaning that all ground services need to be planned within a predetermined on- and off-block of aircraft. Control of aircraft and vehicle movement. On the airport surface, collisions can take place between aircrafts and between aircrafts and vehicles. Runways and the vicinity of runways represent the most critical areas for the safety of operations. To reduce the risk of runway incursions, better situational awareness for the controller, flight crew, and vehicle drivers need to be provided. One of the main challenges in the apron area is that, due to many different companies operating on an airport apron, each company brings in the vehicles and equipment it requires to sustain operation. This causes high levels of congestion in ramp areas, which increases the accident rate and the chances of vehicles and equipment being misused. The daily operation at an airport involves the safety of all aircraft, both parked and moving on the airport surface. Short notice changes and refinements to the planning of surface movements are handled using a mixture of collaborative processes and tactical interventions. The latter are handled according to a previously agreed set of rules or the operational insight of the air traffic controller and apron managers. The provision of separation between aircraft and obstacle avoidance on the airport continue to be achieved through visual means and use of surveillance data, complemented by onboard capabilities such as airport moving maps, traffic displays, and enhanced or synthetic vision systems, which will also increase safety and improve throughput in low visibility conditions. In low visibility conditions, ground controllers experience a very high workload to assist pilots in avoiding obstacles and preventing collisions while maneuvering on airport surface. If surface movement capacity is to be increased without increasing the risk of runway incursions, a range of actions need to be taken. Better situational awareness both for the controller, flight crew, and vehicle drivers, including conflict detection and warning systems, will not only enhance airport surface safety, but will also create room for surface movement capacity expansion. Enhanced scheduling of airport surface movements in normal and congestion situations and in coordination with runway operations and turnaround operations will provide increased operational efficiency. This optimum management of surface traffic flows will not only increase efficiency and predictability during the ground movement phase, but will also have a positive impact on the environment. Monitoring safety of operations. It is very important for safety managers to create awareness to better understand the hazards and risks associated with all operations at its airports. It is the responsibility of all persons working on the airside areas to become familiar with the safety policies and procedures of the airport. For personnel safety, appropriate protective gear shall be worn at all times by all personnel who will be working on apron area, such as hearing protection, protective clothing, fully enclosed sturdy footwear, protective gloves, eye protective goggles, safety hats, etc. Different hazards associated with aircraft engines are as follows. Jet intake. The air intake of a jet engine is powerful enough to ingest a human body. Even at a distance, the jet engine suction is strong enough to devour loose debris such as rags, bolts, paper, stones, catering foils, plastic cups, and bags. All these will damage the jet engine. Thrust reversers. The thrust reversers are movable mechanical parts of the jet engine, which reverses the exhaust gas direction during landing to provide a braking effect. In some operations, they are used to reverse aircraft on departure. When operated, they may extend or retract from the rear of the engine at a rate of approximately 2 meters per second. Anyone standing behind the engine and unaware of the thrust reverse operation may be severely injured. Jet exhaust. Temperatures of the exhaust can severely burn the skin of a person standing too close. The jet blast can exceed 100 miles per hour and is capable of moving or toppling heavy equipment. Therefore, it is important to use extreme caution when near a jet aircraft that has its engines running. The degree of hazard is dependent on the engine power setting and the distance behind the engine exhaust. Foreign object debris or damage, FOD. Throwaway items are inherently dangerous. In the working environment of an apron operation, they contribute to the damage or potential damage to aircraft, ground equipment, and perhaps even endanger life. FOD is an abbreviation often used in aviation to describe both the damage done to aircraft by foreign objects and the foreign objects themselves. All aircraft occasionally lose small metal or carbon parts during takeoff and landing. These parts remain on the runway and can cause damage to tires of other aircraft, hit the fuselage or windshield, or get sucked up into an engine. FODs include aircraft parts, rocks, broken pavement, ramp equipment, and vehicle parts. The intake suction from a jet engine is powerful enough to suck up loose material lying on the runway, and the winds created by a prop-driven aircraft's rotors or by a jet blast can send such objects airborne, creating hazards to nearby personnel. FOD costs the aviation industry billions of dollars per year in direct plus indirect costs. Bird strikes are not considered to be FOD strikes, unless the bird or wildlife was already dead and lying on the operating surface when the strike occurred. FODs can be minimized by taking following precautions. Depositing FODs in appropriate bins near the aircraft operating areas. Cleaning vehicles and their tires operating on the apron. Keeping apron area clean. Food refuse cleanup. Frequent inspection for FOD. Apron spillage control. Maintaining tool control.